Most people don't have money problems, they have thinking problems. It's not the lack of income, it's the lack of philosophy. You see, there are two kinds of people walking this earth every day: the consumer and the investor. One spends to feel rich, the other invests to become rich. One lives for the weekend, the other builds for the future. And here's the tragedy: both work hard, but only one ends up free. The difference, it's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's how they think. Consumers ask, what can I buy? Investors ask, what can I build? Consumers chase pleasure, investors chase purpose. Most people are busy looking rich instead of learning rich, and that's the mental shift that changes everything. I learned this the hard way. I used to buy things to impress people who weren't even paying attention. But one day, I realized every dollar I spend is a vote for my future or against it. That day, I stopped asking, what can this money buy me today? And started asking, what can this money earn me tomorrow? So today, I want to challenge you, just for the next few minutes, to stop thinking like a consumer of life and start thinking like an investor in it. Because the moment you change the way you think about money, time, and value, the world begins to work for you instead of against you. Let me tell you something that took me years to learn. Money is not a trophy, it's a tool. Most people spend their whole lives chasing money to display it, when in truth, money was never designed to be shown off. It was designed to work. You see, consumers use money to impress others. Investors use money to empower themselves and the people around them. That's the difference. A consumer spends to look rich. An investor spends to become rich, and there's a world of difference between the two. The moment you start seeing money not as a symbol of status, but as a servant of purpose, your entire relationship with it changes. I used to know a man who earned a great income, but never seemed to have much left. He bought the best suits, the newest car, and ate at the finest restaurants, all to look successful. But when a real opportunity came his way, he had nothing to invest. His money had been spent on display, not development. Contrast that with another man I knew who lived modestly. He wasn't flashy, but he invested in tools, learning, and assets that quietly multiplied. 10 years later, the world looked at him and called him lucky. But it wasn't luck, it was philosophy. He saw money as a builder, not a billboard. The strategy then is simple. When money comes into your hands, ask yourself, will this dollar grow or will it go? If it grows, it belongs to your future. If it goes, it belongs to your past. The wealthy delay gratification long enough to turn money into machines, businesses, systems, investments, or skills that keep producing. They understand that a dollar spent on a book, a course, or a business idea is not an expense. It's a seed planted in the soil of potential. Consumers eat their seed and wonder why they have no harvest. Investors plant it and wait for the season of return. So the next time you feel that urge to show the world how well you're doing, stop. The applause fades, but the returns compound. Use your money to buy freedom, not approval. Because the day you start treating money as a tool, not a trophy, is the day you stop working for it, and it starts working for you. Money has movement, it's never still. It flows like a river from one place to another. And the question that decides your financial future is simple. Are you standing where money flows in or where it flows out? Most people never stop to think about this. They work hard, they spend fast, and they wonder why their hands are always empty. But money moves for a reason. It moves away from those who consume without thought and toward those who think before they act. The flow of money always seeks intelligence, preparation, and purpose. That's why those who study money, not worship it, but study it, always seem to have more of it. Early in my career, I was broke but curious. I started asking questions. Where does money really go? How does a business owner earn when his store is closed? Why does the investor earn while he sleeps? And I realized something powerful. Money rewards understanding. The grocery store owner isn't just selling food, he's managing systems of supply, timing, and value. The stock investor isn't gambling, he's studying trends, positioning himself before the crowd moves. The tax strategist isn't cheating the system, he's learning how the system works. Once I understood that, I stopped chasing money and started chasing flow. The strategy is to study how that flow works, not casually, but consistently. Set aside 1 hour each week just to learn how money moves. Read about business models, real estate cycles, or how markets shift. Listen to people who are one step ahead of you financially and pay attention not to what they buy, but how they think. Because money doesn't go to the hardest worker, it goes to the most aware. Here's a simple practical habit. Every time you spend money, ask yourself, who does this make rich? If you buy a coffee every day, you're enriching someone's system. If you invest in a skill or an asset, you're enriching your own. So start positioning yourself on the receiving end of that flow. Don't just be the one paying into systems. Learn how to own or build them. Money has no loyalty, no emotion, no prejudice. It simply follows the laws of value and awareness. So, if you want more of it, stop waiting for luck and start studying the flow. Because when you understand where money moves and why, you'll know exactly how to make it flow to you. There's a simple truth about wealth that most people overlook. Consumers collect things that fade, while investors collect assets that grow. The difference isn't in how much money they make, it's in how they use it. You see, most people spend their entire lives buying things that look good today but lose value tomorrow. A new car, a bigger TV, a designer outfit. They sparkle for a moment and then quietly drain your resources. But those who understand wealth look beyond the surface. They buy not for the thrill of possession, but for the promise of return. When I was young, I made the same mistake many people make. I spent money as fast as I earned it. A new paycheck meant a new expense. And then I learned one of the most important lessons of my life. Money disappears when it's spent on things, but multiplies when it's placed in assets. An asset is something that gives back. It may be a business that earns while you sleep, a rental property that pays every month, a stock that compounds quietly over time, or even a skill that allows you to earn more tomorrow than you can today. An expense takes from you, an asset gives to you. The strategy, then, is simple. Redefine what buying means. Every time you make a financial decision, ask yourself, does this purchase build something or does it burn something? If it creates future income, security, or growth, it's an asset. If it simply satisfies a moment of emotion or vanity, it's an expense. The wealthy make this distinction instinctively. They don't ask, can I afford it? They ask, will it pay me back? Here's a practical exercise that changed the way I think. The next time you want to buy something non-essential, say a 200 gadget or a weekend splurge, pause and ask, what would happen if I put this same 200 into an investment that pays me even a small return? Over time, that single decision repeated again and again can change your entire financial life. Remember, every dollar you touch is a worker. You can either assign it a job that produces or let it sit idly until it vanishes. Consumers fill their houses with objects. Investors fill their lives with opportunities. So, the next time your hand reaches for your wallet, make sure it's planting, not just spending. Because wealth isn't built by buying, it's built by owning. Wealth is rarely a product of luck. It is a product of systems. Most people live as consumers, trading their time and effort for money that disappears the moment it is earned. They wake up each day, work tirelessly, and at night, find that their finances have not grown because they rely on effort, not structure. But those who think like investors understand that freedom does not come from working harder. It comes from building systems that work for them, even when they are not present. This is the key distinction between earning a living and creating lasting wealth. When I first started, I tried to control everything manually. I wrote checks, tracked every expense, and handled every aspect of my business myself. I was exhausted, and growth was slow. Then I realized the power of systems. A system takes a repetitive task and automates it, ensuring it produces results without constant supervision. In personal finance, this could be as simple as automating your savings and investments. Set up recurring transfers to a savings account, an index fund, or reinvestment in your business. Over time, these small, consistent actions compound, freeing your mind from worry while your money continues to grow. The strategy is straightforward: build systems for every area where human effort can be replaced with structured, automatic processes. In business, systems allow teams to operate efficiently without your constant oversight. In personal wealth, systems ensure that money works, whether you are working, resting, or pursuing new opportunities. A recurring investment in an index fund or a reinvestment of business profits is not glamorous, but it quietly accumulates value, creating the very freedom that most people chase through labor alone. Practical steps are clear. Identify repetitive financial actions and automate them. Savings, investment contributions, and debt repayment should happen automatically. In business, delegate tasks to reliable processes or people so that your attention can focus on growth, innovation, and strategy. The genius of this approach is that your systems continue generating results while you sleep. Spend time with family or pursue new opportunities. Remember, effort alone will eventually hit a ceiling. Freedom comes from creating systems that multiply your time and money. Let your money and processes work while you grow, learn, and live fully. Build systems first, and your freedom will follow. When we speak of investing, most people immediately think of stocks, real estate, or businesses. But the first and most important investment is always in yourself. You see, the person in the mirror is your greatest asset, yet it is often the most neglected. Consumers tend to spend their money on temporary pleasures, a new outfit, a fancy gadget, a night out, things that vanish almost as soon as they are acquired. Investors, on the other hand, recognize that the best returns come not from material possessions, but from cultivating knowledge, skills, and character. Investing in yourself multiplies everything else in life because your mind, your abilities, and your habits compound over time in ways money alone cannot. I remember early in my career when I had very little money. I could have spent it all on appearances to look successful, but instead, I chose to spend a fraction on books, seminars, and mentorship. Every book I read, every idea I acted upon, and every skill I learned became a seed that grew into opportunities I could never have bought outright. Investing in yourself increases your earning potential, your decision-making ability, and your resilience when challenges arise. The returns are often invisible at first, but over months and years, they become undeniable, creating a compounding effect that money alone cannot achieve. The strategy is simple. Every new skill adds income potential. Every new idea adds leverage. Whether it is learning how to manage money, improving communication, mastering a business skill, or understanding markets, these investments directly enhance your capacity to generate wealth. They create leverage, allowing you to do more with less, make smarter decisions, and seize opportunities that others cannot see. Practical steps are clear. Dedicate a portion of your income each month to self-education. Enroll in courses, seek mentors, attend seminars, and most importantly, read books that challenge your thinking. Keep a journal of what you learn and how you plan to apply it. Remember, your mind is the first asset that multiplies everything else. A small, consistent commitment to self-improvement today can yield exponential results tomorrow, turning knowledge into income, ideas into leverage, and potential into freedom. Invest in yourself first, and all other investments will follow with greater ease and greater returns. One of the greatest misunderstandings about wealth is that money is the goal. It's not. Money is only a shadow. It follows something else, and that something is value. Consumers chase money because they think money will solve their problems. But investors, the builders of wealth, understand that money simply follows the person who solves problems, who adds value, who makes life better for others. If you want more money, don't ask for it. Become more valuable. The marketplace doesn't pay for need or effort. It pays for results, for contribution, for value. In my early years, I was frustrated that my income wasn't growing. I worked hard, put in long hours, but my results stayed the same. One day, my mentor said to me, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." That hit me hard. He explained that income rarely exceeds personal development. If you want to earn more, you must become more skilled, more insightful, more capable of serving others. The moment I focused on adding value instead of demanding rewards, my whole life began to shift. The strategy is simple but profound: focus on creating value before chasing money. Find ways to solve problems, fill gaps, and meet needs. Every product, every service, every fortune is built on the foundation of value. If you open a business, don't think first about profits, think about people. How can your product make their life easier, faster, or better? When your work improves lives, money naturally finds its way to you. It may take time, but it's inevitable. The flow of money always moves toward value. Now, here's a practical step to make this philosophy real. Each week, ask yourself one simple question. What value did I create today? Write it down. Reflect on how your actions contributed. Did you improve your skill? Did you make a process more efficient? Did you help a customer, a colleague, or a community? If not, what can you do tomorrow to change that? The habit of focusing on value creation builds momentum, and momentum attracts opportunity. The truth is, value creation is the invisible magnet that pulls wealth toward you. So instead of running after money, become the kind of person money runs after, the one who serves, solves, and contributes. The marketplace always rewards value, never wishes. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they begin their wealth journey is believing that diversification starts with money. It doesn't. True diversification starts with wisdom. The consumer, eager to grow fast, jumps into everything, crypto one week, real estate the next, and maybe a friend's can't miss business idea right after that. But the investor pauses. The investor studies. Because you can lose money and still recover. But if you lose wisdom, you'll repeat the same mistake until there's nothing left to lose. Wisdom is the foundation. Money is the structure that sits on top. Without the foundation, even the tallest structure collapses. The wise understand that every financial vehicle operates on its own set of rules. Real estate rewards patience and management. Stocks reward discipline and emotional control. Business rewards creativity and leadership. And digital assets reward timing and risk management. If you don't understand the rules of the game, you'll always lose to the ones who do. When I began learning about money, I didn't invest right away. I spent a year reading, asking questions, attending seminars, and watching what successful people did. It wasn't glamorous, but it built understanding, and understanding built confidence. The strategy here is to learn multiple paths to wealth before choosing yours. Don't just follow trends, follow principles. The goal is to know enough to recognize what fits your temperament, your goals, and your time horizon. Some people thrive on the steady growth of real estate, others love the liquidity and movement of stocks, and others prefer the control that comes with owning a business. But you can't know what's right until you've studied the landscape. Diversify wisdom first, wealth will follow naturally. Now, let's turn that into something practical. Make it a goal to read one book per month on a different form of investment. One on real estate, one on business systems, one on market psychology, one on digital innovation. Attend a seminar, take an online course, or shadow someone successful in that field. The more perspectives you understand, the better your decisions become. Because a decision built on understanding is stable, a decision built on impulse is fragile. So, before you diversify your money, diversify your mind. Build your financial knowledge brick by brick until your understanding becomes your security. Remember, a wise investor doesn't need to rush. Wisdom compounds faster than any interest rate ever could. Most people lose the wealth game not because they lack opportunity, but because they let their ego outrun time. The consumer wants results now, quick wins, instant gratification, overnight success. But the investor knows that anything of lasting value takes time. The tree doesn't grow because you stare at it, it grows because you water it consistently. Wealth follows the same principle. It's a slow, quiet, deliberate process that rewards endurance, not excitement. The problem is that ego hates slow. Ego wants to impress, to prove, to display progress before it's real. But time is the great multiplier. It turns small beginnings into great outcomes. When I was younger, I made the same mistake. I wanted to look successful before I was successful. I bought things to prove a point instead of investing in things that would build my future. But over time, I learned that the marketplace doesn't reward appearance. It rewards patience and principles. The ego says, I need to show people I've made it. Time says, I'll show them through results. One builds noise, the other builds wealth. The investor chooses the second path every time. The strategy then is simple: stop trying to look rich fast and focus on staying consistent long enough to become rich slow. Choose one wealth path, whether it's real estate, business ownership, or the stock market, and commit to mastering it over the next decade. Most people fail not because the path doesn't work, but because they switch paths every 6 months. They never let time do its job. Remember, compounding doesn't work for the impatient. It rewards those who wait, who nurture, who endure. Now here's your practical step: pick one vehicle and make a 10-year promise to yourself. Not 1 year, not until it gets hard. 10 years. Set up a system: automated investments, consistent contributions, continuous learning, and let it breathe. Don't measure progress by weeks or months. Measure by seasons and years. Because the real game of wealth isn't speed, it's stamina. You'll be amazed at what happens when ego steps aside and time takes over. Your small efforts, your quiet habits, your disciplined consistency, they'll all start to compound in the background. And one day, while others are still chasing fast money, you'll wake up to find that time has quietly made you rich. So, as we close today, remember, wealth isn't built in noise, it's built in discipline. It's not the grand decisions, but the quiet ones you make daily: what you read, what you invest in, how you spend your hours. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start where you are with what you have. Plant the seeds, build the habits, and let time do the heavy lifting. 1 week of focused discipline can shift the direction of your life if you stay consistent. Now, go home, write your plan, and live like the investor you were meant to become.